So you're going to do 3.25 times 0.3. So you figure out what the multiplication is without worrying about the decimal. So you're going to do 5 times 3 is 15, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7, and 3 times 3 is 9. Now to figure out where the decimal goes, you figure out how many spaces it goes in from this side right here. This goes in 1, 2, and this goes in 1. So you put an imaginary decimal that every number has at the end of it. You put that decimal in and you move 1, 2, 3. So the answer becomes 0.975. So sometimes it'll be like this, where there's only one row that has decimals, 1, 2. Sometimes there'll be 2. Sometimes it'll be the bottom that has a decimal. So whatever it is, this one has no decimal, so you don't count that. You just count this one. So for this one, it would be 1, 2, 3 in. This one would be 1, 2, 3, 4 in. And this one would just be 1 in. So you get your answer and you move it in 1, 2, 3. This one would be 4, so you would have 975. You put your imaginary decimal and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see that there's a hump right here that doesn't have anything in it. You would add your 0. Does that make sense to you? Cooper?
Yeah.
Okay. This one, you would put your imaginary decimal and you would move this over to here.
Very nice.
So this one would be 0.975. This one would be 0.0975. And this one would be 97.5. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Do you want me to
Yes.
do you want me to do another example? Do you want me to do?
I'm good.
Okay. I'm going to show you division because they're probably going to do division with you. So.
Yeah, that's actually what we're doing.
Okay.
That's actually what we're doing, and really instead of multiplication.
Okay. So this one, if you have a decimal on this side of the equation, you have to move it over. So this one is going to be moved over just one space. And whatever you do on this side, you do on this side. So you're going to move this one over as well. Does that make sense to you?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So the problem becomes 5 goes into 86.5 how many times? So then you would do the math. 5 goes into 8 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3. Bring down the 6. 5 goes into 36 7 times. 5 times 7 is 35. 36 minus 35 is 1. Then you bring down the 5. Wherever the decimal is here, you're just going to bring it straight up like that. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. And there's never a remainder in decimals. So you'd always add zeros or do whatever you have to do to clear out so that there's never a remainder. Now, if there's no, suppose it was like this, and there's no decimal here, then you don't have to move the decimal. The only time you move this decimal right here is when there's a decimal right here. So if this was what our problem was, you would move it over 1, 2. You would move it over 1, 2. So the problem would become 0, 5, 865, and then obviously 0, 5 is just a 5. And then you would do the math. So this one would be same math. Like that, and no decimal because we cleared it out and it just so happened to clear it out here. Now, if there's no decimal like this, then you would just do a straight division problem. 5 goes into 8 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. 8 minus 5 is 3. This decimal just goes straight up here. We don't have to move it because there's no decimal here. We bring down the 6. 5 goes into 36 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35. 36 minus 35 is 1. Then you bring down the 5. 5 goes into 15 3 times. Then it clears out. There we go. So this one is 1.73. This one is 17.3. And this one is 173. Does that make sense to you? Cooper?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I will send this to Mom and you can review it.